downstairs in the gym. They'll go to their trainings in the gym. Then they'll come up and talk to me about food. And I say to them all the time, I don't care how much you're in that gym working out. I don't care how much you're running, how much you're lifting, how much you're doing. I don't care how much you do anything else. If you don't change your mind about eating, then you will never fix this. You will never fix this problem. You're going to convince yourself that you're working out, you're getting stronger, you're getting more muscle. So it's okay that you're not losing weight. But that was the reason you started, was to lose weight.
Right.
But you're convincing yourself, you're making excuses about why, because you don't want to change your mind about the real issue.
Welcome to Cut the Crap with Beth and Matt, the world's #1 no bullshit health and fitness podcast.
Are you ready to cut the crap with your diet and exercise, get strong as fuck, and build a healthy relationship with food? Then you've come to the right place.
Let's go. If you'd like to support us in the podcast, join our Patreon, where you get exclusive content, which consists of monthly workouts you can do at home or at the gym, monthly challenges that are either strength, habit, or mindset based, and access to over 100 plus low-calorie, high-protein, family-friendly meals. These are all designed by a professional chef who is certified in nutrition. These recipes are already in MyFitnessPal for easy fucking tracking. New recipes are also added each week.
We believe that fitness is for everyone, so this is our way of getting you started on your health and fitness journey at a price most everyone can afford. So what the fuck are you waiting for? We'll see you in the Patreon. All right, Rich, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Cut the Crap. It's been a while since we've chatted on the show. How you been doing? How's life since then?
It's been good. It's been really busy. Now we're cooking is really grown, and the portal has really grown with lots of recipes. I don't know that we've done any cookbooks when I was on last time, but we've done
No, I don't think so.
7 of them now.
Wow.
So I put out 7 cookbooks. Last cookbook we put out has sold over 10,000 copies. So it's doing really well.
That's fucking cool. Who did you collaborate with on that one?
That one was with Tanya Spanglo.
Gotcha.
She's from Oklahoma.
Cool.
She's lost a ton of weight too.
She did. She lost a lot of weight, and she just had skin removal surgery, and she's doing really well. Yeah.
Nice. Are you going to see her anytime soon?
I'm not sure. I'm hoping to. We're going to be relaunching her cookbook with some more recipes really soon. So that's kind of exciting.
Nice. Nice.
Right on.
Nice.
So kind of speaking of skin removal surgery, Rich, you for those that don't know, could you give kind of like a Cliff Notes version of yourself, listeners? Because you've been through one hell of a journey yourself.
Yeah. So about 4 years ago now, I went to the doctors, and the scale said error on it. The scale only went up to 600 pounds. So we really don't know how much I actually weighed at the time. So it was at least 600 pounds. And my doctor at the time was a new doctor. And she said, have you ever thought of medication or surgery or anything like that? And I hadn't. And she said, well, let's give it a try. So we started on some medication, was helping out some. And then at the same time, I got referred to like a weight and wellness program for bariatric surgery. And I got approved and went through a year-long process of evaluations, nutritionists, social, psychological evaluations, meeting with the doctors, everything. And then COVID hit, so it got put off several times. In June of 2021, I had bariatric surgery. When I had surgery, I weighed 454 pounds. So I'd already lost over 100 pounds, about 140 pounds on my own. Today, I weigh 228 pounds. So total, that's 360 something pounds I've lost total since I first started. But at the same time this all happened, I was watching this guy on Facebook, and he was doing a push-up challenge. He was doing 100 push-ups every day. And watching him, and he owned a gym, and he ran a contest for his gym to win a contest for personal training. And I entered the contest and I won. And so I had a personal trainer for 4 months, and I've actually been with that gym ever since, and started my cooking classes and cookbooks, and I'm a certified nutrition coach, and I actually just started my life coaching process to get life coaching certification as well. So yeah, it's been a really busy 3 years, but it's been a lot of fun.
Nice. So fun fact, Richard, the gym he's talking about is the gym that I started coaching at. And I was still coaching at the gym at the time that we actually chose him. All the coaches that were there chose there was a few other people that were in the contest, and we chose Richard. So I've seen Richard from the beginning. He worked with Brandon, I believe. And then COVID hit. I'm trying to think, you still went there and met with Brandon, and he would take you outside, and you guys, I remember you would go for a walk.
Walks, yep.
A lot of walk.
2 years ago, this July, I actually had skin removal surgery done because I had so much hanging skin that it was causing irritations and rashes. So I had 8.5 pounds of skin removed from my stomach. They cut basically from my breastbone down and all the way around. I don't have a belly button anymore, so I'm kind of unique. So that's kind of cool.
What's the recovery like on that?
It's really hard to say. For me, I don't know if I'm just tough or if I am pain resistant or whatever it is. I didn't have a hard time with that. Some people have a lot harder time with it. I think part of it is I got up and was walking immediately. I actually had to slow down a little bit because I was producing too much fluids in my body for the drains to come out. But for me, it was like a 6-week recovery. But I was able to be back to work in about 3 weeks. But I did have kind of a sit down job doing recipes, so that was a little easier for me.
Yeah.
Doing the recipes. Yeah. So you've got Now We're Cooking that you run, right? Which of course we're partnered with, or our Patreon actually. So we got a really cool partnership with you, Rich, and Now We're Cooking. Could you explain what Now We're Cooking does?
Yeah. So Now We're Cooking does several things, but the thing that it does for the Patreon is we have a portal, an online recipe book, you could say, with about 400 recipes in it. And those recipes
we need to update our numbers because we're saying like 200 recipes.
Yeah, I know. It's gone up a couple hundred since.
It's because it doubles every week, right? Or not double, but we do 2 new recipes or something every week.
2 or 3. Oh, is it 2? Yeah.
Two or 3. Yeah. So we started doing that, and the portal. So it has recipes in there that I've kind of recreated. Some recipes Beth has done with cookbooks that her and I've created. Her recipes are in there as well. Other people that I've created cookbooks with, their recipes are in there as well. They're all broken down into categories: high protein, beef, chicken, different things like that. They're also all integrated into MyFitnessPal and Lose It. So you just go in and type in Now We're Cooking, the name of the recipe, and it's already in there for you.
So amazing.
We've gotten, hundreds of people have signed up for the Patreon just for those recipes. I mean, it's it's incredible. When you say you recreate these recipes a lot, what does that process look like for you? And what you've got some certain kind of criteria that you use. Is that correct?
Yeah, a little bit. For me, it's all started because I didn't want to give up eating good food to lose weight.
Right.
I wanted to still eat lasagna, and I still wanted to eat cake, and I still wanted to do things like that. So being a chef anyway, I just kind of looked at the ingredients and said, how can I give up a little bit here and a little bit there, but keep the flavor profile and then make the recipe better? So like in a lasagna, for instance, I would change to a fat-free or low-fat cheeses in it. I would go to a very low sugar sauce in it. I'd use a very lean ground beef or ground turkey in it. So different things like that. It's just about taking little changes. So you don't have to change. You don't have to eat broccoli and dry chicken breast every day for the rest of your life.
Fuck that.
Yeah. Which a lot of people think they need to do.
Yeah, they do.
Still.
You got to eat clean. And that means dry chicken breast, broccoli, and rice, right?
And that doesn't last.
No. That's what's great about these recipes you come up with. They're just everyday foods. There's
tons and tons of desserts in there. People always think they can't have dessert. There's loads of desserts in those recipes.
Lots of family-friendly recipes that kids will love.
Yeah, we've done quite a few videos, all 3 of us together in the studio there too. And speaking of desserts, you created one just for me, and because my favorite dessert is the peanut butter pie.
Yeah, we did the chocolate peanut butter pie.
Yeah, so that was my favorite one we made to date, but that video's out there somewhere too. So that was.
And then we can't forget the unwashed
blueberries.
The blueberry debacle that we had when Chef Richard, or maybe it was Matt, that dumped the blueberries, and then we got accused of not washing our blueberries. And
you gonna wash your blueberries?
Oh my god!
It's great. It's great. Further proving that people will bitch about anything on the internet.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Things are going really good, very busy. Beth and I are going to be working on a new cookbook coming out soon as well.
Yes, people keep asking me, and I need to get my ass in gear, you guys. I'm sorry. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I just need to get those videos to you, Richard.
We'll get them soon.
I know. What is your next adventure? You said you're working on becoming a life coach,
right?
Coach,
yeah.
What does that look like?
I just signed up for that to be a master life coach. For me, it's not about telling people what to do. I just want to be able to communicate with people and change their mindset on things, to change their mind from the broccoli and chicken breast every day to the lasagna instead. I want to be able to change their mindset that it isn't a big deal to cook dinner. It isn't a big deal to prep food. It isn't a big deal to prep these things. It's not as hard as you make it out to be. I wish I had someone like me now many, many years ago.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be where I was.
Yep.
So that's really my next big thing is to work on this course. And we have the Now We're Cooking Culinary Academy starting soon.
Oh, talk about that.
The Culinary Academy will be a program that people will be able to join. It will be it's the first one is an 8-week program, and it's going to go through everything from how to choose groceries in a grocery store, how to change your recipes up to make them better for you, how to figure out how to get the most out of your protein so you can find better protein sources. It's just all about these things all the way through from buying the groceries to cooking to eating to losing weight, changing your mindset, weighing yourself on a scale, taking pictures of yourself, all kinds of great things like that.
That's cool.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So a lot of the emphasis on the mindset side of things. And I know when we first talked, that was even before you had your skin removal surgery, I think, when you came on the podcast the first time.
Yeah.
But you did talk a lot about the mental and emotional side of it.
And I still struggle with that. I still take Prozac to help with my anxiety and moods. My anxiety after I lost weight went through the roof. I still take medications for weight loss. Because I still am not completely conquered the mental hunger cravings that go on. So I do take medications to help with that. And there's nothing wrong with it. I've lost the weight, but I'm not putting it back on. So I will do whatever I need to do to keep doing what I'm doing. I am fully aware of how to manage my meals and how to manage my calories. But sometimes you get in a space and the wrong food's in front of you at the wrong time, and you just go back to those old habits. And so you really have to be constantly aware of yourself to keep going.
Yeah. The mindfulness.
Yeah.
The full body mindfulness.
Absolutely.
Not even just your body, but your environment too, everything around you. Go ahead, Beth.
I was just going to say it's mindfulness is constantly, it's work.
It is.
To be mindful,
a constant
you
decision.
have to really be mindful, and you have to talk to yourself. And I think we've talked about this before, and I know you're talk about it all the time, Matt. Like mindful eating is a practice, and it's a practice you do every day.
That habit every fucking day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people look at like I said, the broccoli and chicken. They have to eat such small portions of something to maintain. I'm all about what is the most amount of food I can put on my plate and meet my calorie goal at the same time. What is the most amount of food? Not that I can only eat a little tiny bit. I want the most I can shove in my mouth, but it's got to taste good at the same time.
Be satisfied, right? You want to be satisfied.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still low calorie because of my surgery, but I mean, I still have to watch the calories because there's certain things I'll eat that I can very easily go over in calories.
Those calories can be very sneaky, especially, I mean, most the fun foods are the high fat foods, right? And that's what people get wrong about it too. It's not the carbs that's in those foods. It's usually the fat, because that's 9 calories per gram, right? So when you're cooking, that's probably an easy substitute for you to make some lower fat options. Like you said that with the cheeses, right? Going for low fat cheese and things like that.
That's a huge difference. And then, like I said, choosing proteins. What is the most amount of protein I can get for the most percentage of protein in your food? Some things are more dense in protein than others. So some things you're going to be able to eat more of it. Like shrimp is one of my favorites because you can eat lots of shrimp, lots of it for the calories.
Almost pure protein.
Yeah, it's delicious.
So do you have kind of like a calorie to protein ratio that you're looking for or anything like that?
I don't like talking about my own personal thing, but I will.
Sure.
And only because mine is so different than people just losing weight.
So how about when you're looking for like the recipes that you're working on?
When I'm looking for recipes, working on that, I look at 35 to 40% protein if it's a protein main course. Now, if it's a dessert, I do not worry about putting protein powder in every single dessert I make.
Okay, thank you for that.
I just try to keep
not everything fucking needs to be added with protein, right?
I just try to keep the calories low on some of in snacks, keep the calories low, but have protein options. But if it's a meal, I try to do the 35 to 40% protein ratio.
I like that. There you go. That's on the high end, and that's great. So you have a lot of wiggle room there.
And you can, if it's a vegetable dish, then obviously you're not going to get that. If it's a side dish, if it's a main dish, the main dish is where it's at when that kind of thing happens.
As a parent, our days are filled with joy, challenges, and countless memories of connection. And let's be real here, more often than not, chaos can feel downright unavoidable. And in those moments, maintaining our peace and well-being are absolutely crucial. And you should know by now that I love talking about all things mindfulness. So this message is for all you mindful parents out there seeking a natural path to tranquility and presence. Cured Nutrition understands the unique stressors we face every day. Whether it's waking up early to take the kids to school or playing taxi as you shuttle everyone from practice to practice, and let's not forget that you still have your daily responsibilities with your own career. That's why they created their Serenity Gummies, your go-to ally in managing the complexities of parenthood with ease. These gummies aren't just a treat. They're a blend of science-backed, health-supporting ingredients like full-spectrum cannabinoids, ashwagandha, reishi mushroom, and L-theanine. Each ingredient is chosen for its ability to support your physical, mental, and emotional sense of calm. Now imagine unwinding from the day's hustle with a natural alternative to alcohol, helping you to improve your presence, mindfulness, and overall well-being. Now oftentimes we turn to alcohol as a way to alleviate stress, but take it from someone that has a long look at his relationship with alcohol. That really only makes things worse. The Serenity Gummies offer a more holistic tool to have in your arsenal so that you can feel good about feeling good. I personally enjoy the passion fruit flavor. It's sweet with some kind of an earthy undertone. I'm no expert when it comes to tasting things. I just know what works for me, what tastes good. In addition to that, each gummy is precisely dosed to guide me to my happy place. Now, Cured Nutrition is offering an exclusive 20% off discount just for our listeners when you purchase Serenity Gummies. Visit www.curednutrition.com/CTC and use coupon code CTC at checkout. That's CURED nutrition.com/CTC, coupon code CTC to embrace a state of relaxation and balance. Remember, protecting your peace is just one gummy away. Now take a moment for yourself and find serenity in the midst of life's whirlwind moments. Because you, as a parent, deserve to support your well-being and do something for yourself so you can continue serving others like the badass that you are. Protect your peace and pop a gummy. Do you look at like fiber or anything like that? Or you're usually using a lot of those, I think, substitutes that are typically higher in fiber anyway, right? With a lot of the recipes?
I do. I look at fiber and try to add fiber in as I can. For me, I personally have to make sure I have a lot of fiber in my diet. For my own situation, I only take in about 80 to 100 grams of protein a day, but I only eat 12 to 1400 calories a day. That is not because I'm on a diet to do that. That's just because that's what my body can handle after having surgery. That's all. And that's what I'm accustomed to now. That wouldn't be a normal thing for anyone else to do. That would just be what I do. But fiber is extremely important for me to keep that fiber up. What drives me crazy is when people get into the keto phrase and they're looking at everything keto and the fiber, but they're not realizing that all the fiber that keto's pulling out and saying it's not calories isn't really true. Some of that fiber is calories, and they're kind of gypping themselves up. So I'm like, don't do that, because they're just shoving fiber in there just to make it keto. That's all they're doing.
That's gotten a lot of shit for saying something similar before on a video, but it's true.
I've had to take videos down because it got a little bit crazy. Maybe you can explain that to us a little bit, so the people that are listening.
Yeah. So fiber. There's basically two different kinds of fiber. There's insoluble fiber and soluble fiber. One of which can be absorbed in your body. One of which goes through your body. The one that goes through your body is what helps to keep your digestive tract clean. It pulls everything out of you. It cleans you out. That's great. But that fiber does not get absorbed in your body. So that fiber does not have any calorie count to it whatsoever. The fiber that does get absorbed in your body does have calories in it. So to take all the when it says keto, if you look at the fiber content, it is jacked. And they do that so that they can reduce the calories. But not all those calories really are gone. Some of them are still there. So it's not that it's a horrible thing. It's just not accurate if you're really trying to track calories. It's not accurate if you're really trying to track calories accurately. It's not accurate calorie counting.
Right.
I agree.
Especially if you're having like 4 wraps a day. I mean, you have one here and there. It's not really a big deal. But if you are living off low carb shit,
that's where I was just going to go next.
Mixed ice cream, Halo Top,
diet foods, all these diet foods, all these low carb, low calorie.
And you're like, I don't know why I'm not losing any fat. Well, look at how many extra keto items that you're taking in.
I mean, they claim
just take a look.
They claim that with fiber, probably half the fiber that's claimed on keto packages is actually fiber that your body's absorbing. Fiber that can be a lot of fiber. Now, keto is great in that fiber that it does have in it is really good for digestion. Right. So that part of it's really good. It's just be careful. You don't have to have name brand diets to be in a calorie deficit. You don't have to do that. You can eat regular, normal foods. I, to this day, still do not drink protein shakes. I don't like them. I don't drink them, but I do.
Well, you have
cook
to
with
use your
protein.
calories wisely too.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I do cook with protein, but only certain proteins are really great to cook with. But I do that because that just helps. That helps add protein where maybe you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
So I do that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm not a drink my protein person either.
Yeah, we both kind of talked about that, I think, recently on the podcast.
Yeah, I'd rather eat my food, chew it. I'm never satisfied with a
Well, there's a lot of
smoothie.
benefits to actually chewing your food and chewing the protein instead of drinking your protein. For instance,
chewing your protein and drinking your two things like that. Though drinking protein, it makes your meal go by so quickly.
Yeah.
That you're not satiated in your mind. So your mind
your body doesn't get that signal. The
Right.
act of actually chewing sends a signal to your brain. Correct.
And also even cooking food, smelling the food. Have you ever made Thanksgiving dinner? You made the whole Thanksgiving dinner and then you don't want to eat any of it because you're so full you're not really full, but your mind is so full from the smells and the aromas and the doings that you don't care to eat it.
That's
Cooking
true.
food is very good for your hunger because it helps feed it as you're getting ready. It's the process. It's not everything has to be a 10-minute meal that's made on Monday for next Sunday.
Thank you. Yeah. Mindfulness. This is all mindfulness. That's what we're talking about right here. It's amazing. Slow down. Eat your fucking food. Get to know it.
And digestion actually starts before you even start eating, which
it really does.
Fucking crazy. And that's exactly where Richard is coming from with the looking at the food, the smelling the food. You ever notice that, like, I love sour candy. You could just look at a sour candy and your fucking mouth starts to water, right? You're like, it's like that.
You got to release a video clip of that one right there.
And a lot of people think that's foolish. Like the mouth watering thing is foolish, but really your mouth starts to water because it's preparing your throat to swallow food. That's what it's doing. That's what they used to say. They used to say that chewing gum was very bad for you in your digestive, because when you chew gum, it tells your stomach that you're eating and your stomach produces acid, but there's nothing to eat for the acid to eat, and it could cause ulcers. So they used to say that was a huge issue with people that chew gum all the time, could have issues like that.
And lots of
I've
air
never
in your
heard that.
too.
Is there any merit to that?
I get it. It makes sense. I mean, when you chew, your body does produce acid, and if you're not putting anything in your stomach,
right, and the signal's getting sent to your brain that you're chewing, that you're eating. That is accurate. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
And also too, like drinking versus eating your protein, that's going to have an impact on the thermic effect of food too, right? Because
definitely
drinking your protein, it's already broken down. So your body doesn't really need to work hard to digest it. So you're not expending as much energy. But if you're eating your protein, eating your food, chewing it, digesting it, your body's going to be burning more calories. So 100 calories of a protein shake isn't going to affect your body the same way as 100 calories of chicken breast. You're going to burn more calories by eating the chicken breast versus the protein shake. Those are those like little details that people don't account for when they're doing all this dieting and the low calorie and the low everything. Is a lot of the effects that it has on our energy balance.
Yeah. I look so many people. I mean, back when I first started losing weight, probably back in the 80s, when I went on my first diet, it was like Slim Fast was huge. And it was like, drink a shake for breakfast, drink a shake for lunch, eat a salad for dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
How stupid shit's still out there in some way. It just gets repackaged.
The Slim Fast itself isn't horrible.
Octavia.
But you're not going to do it forever.
Yes.
There's no way you can do this forever.
Right.
And you can't tell me that that's satisfying, right? No, those people are miserable doing that.
And what I see a lot is people eating bars and protein shakes and all those things just to get their macros in, never being satisfied. It's like, how long could you do this for? How many fucking weeks and years you're going to do like eating?
There's some protein bars that I like. And I do like some protein bars, but if I eat them, they're never a meal replacement. They're always a snack.
Right.
They're always some supplemental. Yep.
Yeah, supplemental road trips in between appointments. I had one hiking, right? And even then, my selection these days are very, very selective. It's bear bells and the Cliff bars, especially if I'm hiking. But yeah, it's funny. I went to a little farmer's market yesterday to get some groceries and some protein snacks and stuff for Sarah's house. And I went to look at the protein bar section. I didn't buy a single fucking protein bar. I was like, none of this looks good. None of it looks appetizing. Oh, I just went, I bought some lunch meat, got some whole grain bread. I got what else? A bunch of good protein options. None of them were protein bars or protein shakes, just real food. Like, I'm just tired of doing the shakes and bars.
I mean, a lot of people look at Beth and I made a recipe recently where we used cake mix, and we talked about sugar-free cake mixes. Yes, a sugar-free cake mix doesn't have any sugar in it, but if you're looking at just calorie consumption, it literally is 10 calories less than a regular cake mix. There's not a whole lot of difference. And typically when there's no sugar, there's higher fat in something. So that's something to look at too.
Okay. You mentioned earlier too about the meal prep, and I think we could spend some time talking about meal prep, especially for weight loss, because that's kind of your forte, and what Now We're Cooking is really great for, because all the recipes that we have in the portal for the Patreon members. By the way, I just want to plug that really quickly, guys. If you're already liking what Rich is all about, he is partnered with us in our Patreon, so you can get access to these recipes for $10 a month.
Yeah, so, and also our clients have access. I know I have our clients, Matt. And
Team BFF and Team
BFF, and they have access to Now We're Cooking as well. It's a super awesome resource if you are looking for, like, we get these questions all the time. I mean, just sign up for a Patreon.
I'm looking for I'm looking for high protein breakfast. Okay, we got you. I'm looking for
snacks, dessert.
I got you. We got you. Yeah. And $10 a month.
We don't plug it enough.
We don't. We really don't. We hate marketing. We fucking hate marketing. We
hate marketing. And the thing is, it's like, this shit is really good. And I don't know why we just don't, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm bad at that.
Yeah. It's just not what we enjoy doing. That's not why we got in this business, right? To market. Yeah. We got in this business to help.
But anyway,
anyway, we digress.
didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just like, total squirrel. I just finished a
Rich knows this well enough to know that this is just the norm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you were asking about meal prepping and stuff. Yeah. I personally am not a fan of meal prepping. And the reason I'm a fan of ingredient prepping. And the reason I'm not a fan of meal prepping is if I thought that I was going to come home every night and have the same dinner every single night because I made 5 dinners this week or 7 dinners, I wouldn't do it. And I would end up throwing it away.
That's when I'm getting Taco Bell usually. Like I've done that in the past, right?
Yeah, because you go through all that diligent work to spend the 3 hours to prep your meals for the week, and then who wants to eat the same thing every single night? And that's another reason to not be sustainable. Thinking, I'm going to go home and have meatloaf again tonight. I'm stopping at McDonald's instead. That's what I would probably do. So I'm a big fan of ingredient prepping. So ingredient prepping, I will cook proteins, whether it be chicken, breasts, tenders, thighs. I prefer thighs. Ground meat, whatever I have going on, I'll cook it. I'll take my veggies. Sometimes I'll cook veggies depending on what it is. Sometimes I'll not cook them. Maybe I'll make roasted veggies. I'll take all my food for salads and I'll chop them all up and cut them all up and put them in mason jars, clear mason jars in the fridge. Because out of sight, out of mind. If you don't see stuff in the fridge, it's going to mold.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to eat it. If you see the stuff, you will eat it. You'll be more apt to use it. And also storing things in mason jars makes them last so much longer.
I saw that hack recently. I think it was on TikTok or something. It popped up on my FYP. I never thought of it doing it that way rather than using bags or Tupperware or something.
Oh, it's huge. It's a huge difference. It's a game changer when it comes to how long stuff will last. It's amazing. I'll do all my prep that way. Typically, I'll do a chicken and a beef every week. Usually it's ground beef for me, and I'll do chicken thighs. I'll cook them. I'll shred them. Sometimes I'll season them, sometimes not. But then I come home at night and I have usually fish in the fridge. So I'll have shrimp. So I have shrimp, chicken, or beef. What do I want? I have this veggie, this veggie, this veggie, all prepped, ready to go. I can still put a meal together in 10 minutes. I can still do that because everything's cut up, everything's chopped up, the meat's already cooked. You're throwing things together. It's great. And at the end of the week, I'll take any veggies that I have left and make a soup. Because soup, if you're really hungry, a vegetable soup has so low calories in it. You can add it to any meal if you're really hungry and for hardly any calories. So you're going to get, again, a bunch of food for a little bit of calorie.
Yeah, soups are great for fat loss, especially.
Yep.
We actually had a chicken noodle soup last night. We had chicken noodle soup.
Is that with all the Ritz crackers that you had?
With the Ritz crackers? Yeah, I was like, you guys got to try this. And then they're like, yeah, but now it's going to be, your crackers are all soggy. I was like, oh shit. But I got best of both worlds. Half of them were soggy, half of them were still crispy.
You know, at work, I also keep, like, in the freezer, I just got them in today, a bunch of lean cuisines, a bunch of smart ones, just lunches. They're 300 to 400 calories a piece. Don't eat them every day, but if I'm busy and I need something, I don't have to eat junk. I have something right there I can eat. I don't worry. I know they're higher in salt content. I don't worry about that because I cook at home most of the time.
I love that you said don't worry about that. Because
if you cook at home most of the time, you'll never have an issue with salt.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
I get that question a lot. Do you count sodium? No. I cook at home literally 99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
I'm probably not getting enough.
And the reason why we say we don't need to worry about it, right, is because the things that we promote, you don't have to worry about it. When we're regularly moving our body, drinking enough water, eating a balanced diet, you literally don't have to worry about it unless you are hypertensive, pre-hypertensive, and blood pressure issues, right? But general public now, fucking stop worrying about it.
Yeah.
And if you add too much salt to your meal at home, it would be so salty you wouldn't be able to stand the taste of it compared to what you would buy out. So it's really not a big deal. I actually had this conversation. You're talking about working out. I had this conversation on Threads the other day. I was commenting on a doctor post. Commenting on a doctor's
Threads
post.
Is a wild place.
It's fun. That's a fun place to argue. I was talking about a doctor's post, and he was talking about being in a calorie deficit. And someone came on and said, you have to run to be in a calorie deficit. You have to do cardio to be. And I'm like, no, you don't. And this went on and on and on and on and on. And I said, this person was very fit, very, very fit. And I'm like, you can't preach to people that you have to run and do all these things to be in a calorie deficit. You do that because that's good for you. But someone who's 300 or 400 pounds can't do it. So you have to give them something they can achieve, not something they can't achieve. Don't give them, don't put the cart before the horse here.
And I don't know if that person was a coach or if they were just a fanatic or what, or probably a zealot, more likely. But just because something works for you, it doesn't mean it's going to work for others. And when coaches are only teaching one way of doing things, like that really grinds my fucking gears. I'm like, you're not a coach, you're a cheerleader. Like if you're only teaching, like if you can only teach somebody, unless that's your niche, and like, hey, I just want to teach people to run, cool. But don't tell people that they have to run to lose fat, right? No, that's when it becomes problematic.
Well, I think that's also why.
Or that actually running holds on to fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, cortisol, right? It's great. Is that
I think sometimes that people don't want to go to gyms and they don't want to go to gym workouts because they can't do some of the things they see other people doing.
Correct.
So they feel like they're intimidated to go in to gyms. There's lots of gyms out there that don't encourage, like they don't regress workouts. They just say, this is what we're doing. Do a push-up. I still can't do a push-up. To this day, I still can't do a push-up. Maybe someday. Luckily, my coach give me progressions and we work on it constantly. It's like a working on thing. Yeah. For me, my left arm is so weak that I still can't do it, but something we're working on.
Something you're working on.
Yeah.
I love that mentality, right? That goes back to what you're talking about with the mindset is you can't do it yet, but you're working on it. So one day you'll be able to. It's that growth mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So meal prep. What are some other kind of meal prep ways that we can make meal prep easier for people on a fat loss journey? Or even just in general, because not everybody's on a fat loss journey, but obviously you're crushing
it.
I
think if you're doing meal prep itself, I think that first of all, choosing things that you like and not necessarily making things that are going to last for 8 days. If you're meal prepping, I wouldn't go more than 3 days out for the same meals. And maybe you make 2 different meal preps a week so that you have choices. Okay, I'll have this today, I'll have this tomorrow, something like that. But also, I make things that can be made into other things. So I may make nacho meat, for instance. I may make nacho meat, and I may make some nachos or some tacos or a burrito. But I can also take that nacho meat and I can make a cottage cheese bowl out of it. I can also take that nacho meat and I can make a dip out of it. So there's so many other things.
Multi-use for all your ingredients. And that's
think outside the box.
It like that.
I think that for me, the most important thing with meal prep and ingredient prep is to have a pantry list. And so in your pantry, this is what I have for dry foods. This is what I have for canned foods. This is what I have in my freezer for backup foods. This is what I have in my fridge for proteins. And I keep those things all the time so that I have a revolving stock of those things. So when I want something, I always have it. When I look for groceries, I don't have to go to the grocery store and decide what I want. I just look at my cupboard. I need 2 cans of tuna. I need 1 can of soup. And you just go get those things.
So really, we're not talking about meal prep necessarily. It's more so just learning how to cook and using what you have already and using versatile foods. And
maybe that's all the meal prep you need is having stuff available. Maybe the meal prep you need is to prep all your veggies so you don't have to cut veggies every night. Maybe the meal prep you need is to have a soup made every week so that you have an extra additive. Maybe it's to have all your veggies just for salads done. Maybe it's to have all your proteins cooked. So meal prep can be different for every single person. And weight loss is different for every single person. Why shouldn't making the food be different for every single person as well?
Yeah. And this is where people need to get curious and figure out what actually fucking works for them. Most of the time they want you to tell them what works, but what works for me may not work for you. So you have to figure that out on your own. And that's okay. You're not going to know that right away, but you have to experiment. Like Richard has found what works for him. Matt knows what works for him. I know what works for me. Just like you need to find what works for you, who's ever listening.
And you have to be willing to take a chance, step out of the box and take a chance. Even with foods you say you don't like. I don't know how many times people say, I don't like cottage cheese. I don't like cottage cheese. Guess what? I hated cottage cheese my entire life. All of a sudden I started making cottage cheese bowls. And amazingly, it was great protein, but I didn't really taste the cottage cheese, and I love them now. I eat them all the time. I make so many different cottage cheese bowls.
You do.
Tanya Spangolo got me into those, and she's like, these are great. And we started making them for our cookbook, and it was like, these are so good. Yeah. I make dips out of them and salads out of them and anything.
I'm with you. I was never a cottage cheese fan until I actually tried the Good Culture cottage cheese.
That's what I use, Good Culture.
The texture of that, because it's thicker. The other cottage cheese are more runny, and I can't deal with that.
Okay.
So it's a texture thing for me, for sure. If I have Good Culture, I'm good.
Yeah, same for me. Like I'm about Oikos. Greek yogurt I can do, but Oikos Pro is too thick for me. So it's like it's all about texture.
Oikos out. I don't ever want to I'll eat it if it's there, but I'm done buying it for myself. I think I've ranted to death about this.
I like the Pro. I do like. I love the thickness of it.
I cook with the Pro.
That's just me.
I cook with the Pro because it's great.
Oh, do you?
Great added protein. I cook with it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Putting it in oatmeal is a really good way. Is a really cool hack too. Have you ever experimented with that?
Yeah. We actually, I did a class for Beth's clients. We did a prepping class and we did oatmeal in that class. We did a lot of we prepped breakfasts, making overnight oats.
Yeah.
And having them all made for a week at a time in the fridge and all different flavors of overnight oats and how easy that was to do as well.
Have you ever used cottage cheese in oats? I've heard people do that. Never tried it myself.
I'm sure it wouldn't hurt.
Well, Rich, maybe you can do it for me.
We tried it.
Experiment.
We'll try it.
I do like putting back on cottage cheese. I like putting cottage cheese in my scrambled eggs. Awesome way to
makes it
add
creamy, really
protein, really creamy, real smooth. And even people that don't like cottage cheese might like that too. I've got a lot of clients that don't like cottage cheese, but they've heard me talk about it and they actually like it a lot.
But speaking of eggs, though, that's a good subject because everyone thinks eggs are a great protein source. Well, they're really not. They're more of a fat source.
Yeah.
Because they have whole eggs, but egg whites are a great protein source. So how do you balance that? Well, when I do it, I cook one egg in the pan, one whole egg, and then I dump egg whites all around it and I make a giant egg. I still get my dippy eggs for my toast, but I don't have the two yolks. I'm cutting it down by one. Flavor is still the same, but I still get more protein out of it. So it's just thinking of those little easy hacks like that too.
So it's like one of those things that works for you.
Yeah.
And that makes sense for you too, especially because you're more limited on your calories that you're able to bring in. So you're eliminating some of that fat there.
Yep. I don't count fat though. Fat is not something I count in my calories. So I just total calories and protein is where I'm at and make sure I have fiber in there.
Got it. Which is what we recommend for most people too. So it's cool that that's what you do.
Yeah. Simple. Keep it simple. Fucking overcomplicate it.
Can we go back to talk about some of your own journey then?
Yeah.
Before you became Chef Rich, right? The emotional aspect for you going through this journey, what was that like for you? Because I think you still mentioned struggling with emotional eating and things like that even after the fact.
So mine actually started before I can remember. My mom died when I was very young. I lived with my aunt and uncle. When I was 6 years old, I was pulled from their family and given back to my father and his third wife at this point. And he had several children since then as well. She was pregnant with another. And let's just say the stepson role was like a Cinderella role. So it wasn't a very happy growing up. And I remember going to visit my aunt and uncle or going to visit my grandparents. My grandmother was a great chef and my aunt was a great chef. So going to their houses, they had great foods in their fridge, and I would sneak out at night out of my bedroom to the fridge and eat because it was good food that I didn't have at home. And I would learn to, and I continued to do that my entire life after that. I would get up in the middle of the night and sneak to the fridge when no one would see me, and I would find the good food and eat it because I felt like I couldn't do that in front of people because I was eating too much and people would see it. So I would do it behind the scenes, because if they didn't see it, then it didn't happen. And slowly but surely, I ate my way into 600 pounds over the years. And that's basically how it happened. It was total emotional eating.
And that was a behavior that was created very early on.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't think people don't understand about our relationship with food is, if you struggle with that relationship with food, it can usually be traced back to some type of a behavior that your body created, your brain really created for you to serve you in that moment. And then later in life, it no longer serves you.
And your body craves the addiction to these things. They crave, like, it's like eating sweets, eating sugar. It produces in your body something, pleasure. And so eating fruit for me, that produced pleasure for me. I got pleasure out of that. Some people get pleasure out of other things. I got pleasure out of eating this food. And I would eat myself like, I'm sick, I'm eating so much food. But I would do it all the time. And it was a place for me that gave me that happy place growing up. But it got worse and worse. And the more I ate, the more I wanted, the more I ate. And it never got healed. And that's also why going through like bariatric surgery, you have to go through so much stuff with the social worker, psychiatrist, because when you take that addiction away and you cannot eat. Now, bariatric surgery, when you first have it, isn't a choice of not eating. You cannot eat that much food when you first have surgery. So when you take that addiction away, your body wants the pleasure point, and some people will take on new addictions. And so drug addiction, alcoholism become very prevalent in people that have had bariatric surgery after they've lost weight, because their body tries to make up for the addiction. Luckily, I never had any of those issues, so I never had that problem. But I did struggle immensely with emotional addiction and emotional stress and anxiety after having surgery. But I would never change it. I would never change it.
Were those things being addressed when you did the psychological work ahead of time?
They were being addressed, but they weren't. They were being addressed, but I guess I didn't believe that they were possible, that it was going to happen the way it did. So they were addressing it. They were telling me what could happen, but you're in your mind, that's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to do that.
Me. Yeah.
And so they do give you the tools, but I don't think they address it enough. I don't think that they get into it enough. Meeting with the nutritionist probably could be cut in half versus meeting with the social worker.
I agree.
Because the nutrition is a basic.
Really.
Nutrition's a basic. I mean, it's just, you take your vitamins. This is how much protein you need. This is how much carbs you need. This is how much calories you need, and just learn to fit it in. But the psychological part of it, it's all probably something you're not going to talk about to anyone, which is why less men than anything else out there have weight loss surgery, because they don't want to talk about their emotions. So therefore, they don't have the surgery, because they have to do that in order to get qualified for surgery.
That's interesting.
So it doesn't happen.
And I've also heard mixed reviews on or experiences with that too, how laid back and lax that process can be for other people too.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that you had a good experience with it.
Yeah.
Because I know we started working with a client not too long ago. That's why she came to us for help. She had just gotten surgery, but she didn't actually receive any help in the process. She felt like she was just crossing boxes off for them to get the surgery, which was it's just really unfortunate when I hear that, because
it is. And it's also something though, sometimes that's not really true. They're actually giving it to us, but we're not listening.
Like you kind of just alluded to.
You're not, because you're not thinking it's not happening to you. You think, oh, I got this. And then when it actually happens, you don't have this. And you didn't listen. And, you're kind of on your own now, and you don't really know what to do. So it's good to be out there with people. But a lot of people look down on bariatric surgery. A lot of people look down on skin removal surgeries. For me, I can say, I don't know if I'd be alive today if I hadn't had it. My knees were failing. I wasn't walking.
Yeah.
I was 600 pounds. I wasn't happy. I was never smiled, nothing. And so I don't know if I'd be alive today if I hadn't had it done. And sometimes it's just, could I have done it on my own? Yeah, could have. But I didn't have the willpower to do that at that point. I needed that jump. I needed that boost. Now I can say definitely that I would not go back. But there are people that have weight loss surgery, and because they immediately fail when they first have it, they don't ever make it to success. And then they blame the surgeon, or they blame this, it was botched. It's because you didn't try. So because you weren't ready to have it done to begin with. Dr. Nazardin from My 600 Pound Life, I was at a conference with him last fall, and he said that that's where he finds most of his failures in the show, and why he's thinking of canceling his show, not doing his show anymore, is because now everyone wants to get on it for the publicity. And they're not in it to really lose weight. He doesn't feel like he's really helping people as much anymore because they're in it to get fame and fortune, kind of thing out of their minute in the spotlight, but they're not listening to him. But that's also why he's so hard on people about what they're doing, because if they can't do the little things he's doing beforehand, they will not make it afterwards. And he doesn't want that to happen. He's actually generally a very nice guy.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
And this makes me wonder about, I'm not trying to change the subject, but it's kind of correlated, like weight loss drugs.
I think that's a natural transition.
Yeah.
I feel like that should also be addressed if you're taking those, like with the psychological, and people are just,
I believe they should be.
There's a lot to that because something got you there. You have to work like you did, Richard, with the psychological aspect and work on that while you're getting help.
And that's not to say that people aren't doing that. We know that people do that too, but it's not but it's not required.
I think that's part of the difference with that is, and for Mike's, I've never taken them, but I have talked to the doctor about these. Part of the difference with those is the drug is changing your mindset, helping change your mindset to the food. It's changing your hunger cues to eating food, but it's not changing your ability to eat the food. Whereas weight loss surgery literally changes your ability to eat the food. The weight loss drugs, I think, get a bad rap in this way, that people look at it as an easy way out, and probably there are people out there using it as an easy way out. But for some people, it's a way out. You know, and like honestly, my doctor wanted to try me on Ozempic, but I didn't qualify for it because
was this before?
No, this was after. She wanted to put me on Ozempic afterwards to help with the emotional, like the head hunger thing. And that's what it'll help with. And so, but I couldn't qualify because in order to get on Ozempic, people don't believe this. Oh, people are just saying for weight loss. You actually have to have
diabetes.
You actually have to have an A1C at a certain level.
People talk about Ozempic in that context, but really, if they're talking about it for weight loss, it's going to be a semaglutide or something like that.
Yeah. And I don't think like weight loss drugs or weight loss surgery is an easy way out at all.
No, definitely.
I definitely would not want to have to be put on a drug or have surgery personally. You know what I'm saying? That's tough. The risks, and there's pros and cons to everything.
I've looked at it. Could I have lost the weight on my own? Could I have lost 360 pounds on my own? Yeah, probably could have. But could I have sustained it? Could I have sustained in my mindset the way it was at the time? Could I have sustained the mindset and my body in the process to lose that weight over that kind of a period to do that? Could I have done that? I don't know that I could have. I don't know that I could have. I really think that for me, losing the weight quickly in the beginning, I did lose over 100 pounds before, and I've lost a lot of weight after. But losing that quick losing in the beginning and the ability not to eat and to let my stomach shrink down and to let my mind settle into the fact of the way of eating, that's what saved me. It wasn't necessarily the surgery. It was the time it gave me to adjust.
It's essentially, if we look at it like this is how I like to explain it to people. We can look at it, weight loss drugs, and say, what weight loss drugs do, or even bariatric surgery, if it addresses those things, is it puts you on a level playing field. Is essentially it allows you to use the tools that we're teaching. Some people can use those tools without additional assistance, drugs and that type of support. Some people can't, right? So the drugs just make it easier to use those. And that's the same thing with like therapy and things like that. Therapy works great for some people. For some people, therapy alone isn't enough and they need to turn to medication because of chemical imbalances and things like that. Then that drug allows them to use the tools they're learning in therapy. It's the same fucking thing. We don't absolutely. And we don't, so we don't criticize people for, I shouldn't say that. People do there is a stigma with therapy and mental health.
I actually spoke at a conference in Florida, over a Zoom call that I did in Florida, and talking about having surgery and medications. And I said, look at it this way. If you had a drug addict out there, or you had an alcoholic out there, you would send them to a sober house where there's no chance that they're getting these things. They would learn, they would detox from this. You can't detox from food. You have to eat. Being fat, being overweight, being obese, being morbidly obese is an addiction. It's a sickness. It's not just a choice. Yes, you made the choice to get you there, but once you're there, it is an addiction. You made the choice to smoke your first joint. You made a choice to take your first drink. But eventually, these addictions happen. You would treat those people. You wouldn't just tell them to drink less and you'll be okay. They can't. That's foolish to think about that. But you're going to tell a person without any help, anything else, just eat less. That weighs 600 pounds. That's not going to happen for them for the most part. Probably.
You tried eating less and moving more, right?
Yeah, that's what you always hear.
For sure. Stupid advice.
Yeah. The difference is it's like the behavioral addiction,
Mhm.
right? Like the alcoholic can have the actual behavioral addiction as well as the physical addiction.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, Rich has done a really good job kind of, I think, illustrating that and going how everything went back to like that, how it was that behavior, like how, because when people take away that emotional eating, then after bariatric surgery gets replaced by something else, right? Another
to me, and I tell people this all the time, people like downstairs in the gym, they'll go to their trainings in the gym, then they'll come up and talk to me about food. And I say to them all the time, I don't care how much you're in that gym working out. I don't care how much you're running, how much you're lifting, how much you're doing. I don't care how much you do anything else. If you don't change your mind about eating, then you will never fix this. You will never fix this problem. You're going to convince yourself that you're working out, you're getting stronger, you're getting more muscle, so it's okay that you're not losing weight. But that was the reason you started, was to lose weight.
Right.
But you're convincing yourself, you're making excuses about why, because you don't want to change your mind about the real issue.
Yes.
Of the weight, if it's a weight issue. Now, if it's a toning issue, if you want to get stronger, that's different. But if it's a weight issue you have to address the mindset of the weight.
For most people, the weight issue is, it's not the X's and the O's. It's not the food it's not the food, it's the behaviors with it. And we're coaches. I don't really coach nutrition much. I coach the behaviors and relationship and the mindset with how it pertains to nutrition, right? I give my clients nutrition goals and stuff like that, but it's really talking about how our behaviors impact those things.
Yeah.
That's really it.
The number one thing.
Yes. And that's why I love doing what we do, because I don't want to talk about food all day, right? Like I want to talk about the behaviors and shit that you can control.
Yeah. Well, you can give someone their nutrition goals, and they're just, when they don't meet those goals, they're just going to blame they didn't lose it. It was the hormones. It was this. It was food. It was something else, because they don't understand the mindset. Once they understand the mindset, then they can appreciate the nutrition goals for what they are and look at them. What is the most I can eat and still get my nutrition? What is the most I can eat and still get my calories?
I love that.
So that's a better way to look at it.
Yeah. I just made a video yesterday just like that, Rich. I said, I could give you your exact fat loss calories right now, but that probably doesn't mean anything, because your behaviors are still going to make you quit after a bad weekend. It's going to make you restrict during the week and then binge at nighttime. It's not the X's and the O's that's the problem for most people. Most people know how to lose weight, right? With food. It's not being managed holistically, essentially. And I hate that fucking word, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's a necessary evil word, I guess, but it's true.
I know.
We've been at this for almost an hour.
That's crazy.
I think this is the first time, though, we were all together in the same room.
Yeah,
we all recorded.
We were.
Now we're all in 3 different locations.
I know. I'm in Maine still. With Richard. Richard's 7 minutes away from me currently. 7-minute drive.
Yep.
I'll be coming in September for the race, for the trail, right? For the trail race. So we usually make it over to hybrid whenever I come. So.
I have my retreat. I double booked like a fucking idiot, but what can you do? That's why I now have an assistant looking at my calendar for me, because that was my problem.
Yep. Managing your schedule is fucking hard, man.
Dude,
especially as a business owner, as a parent.
I didn't realize I have never been a person to be late or miss things ever. And now I not as much as I was a few weeks ago, but it's more than ever now. It's like, oh my God, yesterday I kept telling Hunter we have a meeting at 2:30. 2:30, we're meeting this person, right? And so I get this notification before 2, and it's like, your meeting's at 2. And I'm like, he actually switched a time with someone he was meeting because he thought I had to meet me. And I'm like, by the way, this was at 2 and not 2:30. My fucking bad.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's crazy. I've never been like that, but.
You're taking steps to get on top of it. So,
the mindset thing, Beth, you just gotta get it in your mind that you need help. Sometimes independent people think they can do everything themselves.
Yes,
it took me this long to ask for help. And that's a long fucking time. I kept saying, I'm so busy, I need help. And finally I asked for it. It's that control thing.
For sure. As a business owner, I mean, I get that too. I was the same way when I was struggling recently. My team was like, we can do this. We can do this.
Right.
I'm like, I know.
No, right. All right.
Like, yes, okay, please. Like, can you help me? Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that hurt to say, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So one more shout out for our Patreon here, guys. Anybody listening, like the podcast, like what Rich is all about, want to find out more about these recipes, join our Patreon.
$10 a month.
$10 a month. Not only are you getting access to more than 400 recipes now at this point, with more of them added every week, with PDF instructions, right? They're integrated with MyFitnessPal, Lose It. But you also get our workouts with
workouts. As well. Don't have a place to start, challenges. Which is actually the first of the month is coming up soon.
2 days.
2 days.
2 days. I'm like, oh my God, tomorrow. Actually, holy fuck.
Yeah. So when this episode comes out, because first is on Saturday. So this Saturday will be the first of the month is when our new workouts will be coming out as well.
And there you go.
We released new recipes for Now We're Cooking on Wednesdays is when they're posted.
Wednesdays. Yep.
So.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Rich. Yeah. Before you go, how can you give yourself a shout out? Where can people find more information about you, give you a follow on the socials?
On Facebook, you can check me out at Reinventing Chef Rich. I have a website, reinventingchefrich.com. I have Snapchat, Reinventing Chef Rich, Instagram and TikTok, all the same name, Reinventing Chef Rich. You can find me anywhere. And a lot of people get amazed when they send messages on for Now We're Cooking that I answer the messages. Oh, it's you. Yeah, they ask me questions on there too. So anywhere, my Facebook page is the best one.
Nice.
Reinventing Chef Rich.
There we go. Reinventing Chef Rich everywhere. We'll put you on the notes too. All right. Thanks again, Rich, for coming on today.
No problem.
Thanks, Rich.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed this episode, so why not share with a friend who needs to hear it? Send us a DM on Instagram or email us at cutthecrappod@gmail.com and join our Patreon at patreon.com/cutthecrappodcast. As always, we appreciate you and thanks for being here.